broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Welcome, fellow Face-Off fans, to AfterBuzz TV's Face-Off After Show for Season 10, Episode 3, Lost Languages. I am your host, Alana Jordan. You can find me on Twitter at Alana Jordan, and today I am joined by my amazing panel of hostesses.
I like that. Also, is it because I want a Twinkie?
Yes, very much so.
Oh, I go first. Sorry, I was thinking about Twinkies. I apologize. You guys can find me all over social media at Torres890.
And I'm Emma Fyffe. You can follow me all over social media at Emma Fyffe.
And I'm Michelle Cullen. You can find me on Twitter at Michelle_Cullen.
And you can also tweet us using that hashtag ABTVFaceoff. We love hearing from you guys. So while you're online, be sure to rate, subscribe, give us those thumbs up, comment. And we are super excited because we have one of our favorite contestants ever here.
Oh my god.
Robert Lindsay, everyone's favorite German.
Hello. Nice to be here.
We're so excited to have you here.
Words cannot describe.
You're so welcome.
Last week we absolutely adored Board Game Man.
Game Man.
And we're very excited to also have I hope that you continue to name all of the creations.
We see about that.
Okay.
I don't want to give too much away. But
Exactly.
Expect it.
But yes. So this was a very unique one. Anytime that they have these inspirations,
Guys.
we've seen some auditory ones, but this was like
favorite one so far.
Yeah.
Really?
Because a couple seasons ago they did one where they had to create makeups based on just sort of a sound pattern that they were listening to.
I remember that one.
like a noise.
Exactly, and that was a little more abstract, but this was so specific, and especially during the judging when David Peterson, I keep wanting to call him Peter Davison, who was a doctor, but it's David Peterson who created Dothraki for Game of Thrones, and when he was looking at the makeups, it was so interesting the way he was describing kind of like looking at their mouths and being like, they couldn't actually make the sounds that I described for them to make with that mouth.
Liked how he is a language expert and then his credits are very alliterative.
Yeah.
It was Dominion, Defiance, Dothraki.
Yeah.
I was like, you are awesome. Everything about you is so cool. But yeah, it was interesting too because, and I'm interested to get your feedback too on this, Robert. When you get something like that, my immediate thought wouldn't be, oh, how would the anatomy of the voice work to create that? I would think, what is a physical embodiment
Of that sound.
Yeah.
So is it weird having things when you get something that's not a visual basis? Because for this one, you did have the visual basis. You had the jug and everything, but then having a sound thrown in.
Yeah, but what stood out was that clicking sound.
Yeah.
And I remember that octopus, they have this little beak.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I figured, let's use that.
Yeah.
I didn't quite remember the
Yeah.
sound.
Well, and you had the squid very clearly on sort of the artifact that you guys had chosen. So I did not think that was the wrong direction to go at all.
No.
I definitely thought it was very justified, and I also didn't hear that sound.
That's not what it registered at all to me.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, there's clicking.
I
There's
think
actual
it's
clicking.
weird too because we've talked about how we'll sometimes see makeup and depending on the lighting,
Yeah.
it'll look different. I feel like depending on if you're listening to something on headphones or over a speaker,
Oh, I agree.
you're gonna hear things differently too. So
And people have always interpreted sound and movies and whatever, and all their own little opinions.
Yeah,
so to us,
absolutely.
it could sound like clicking, and to somebody else, it could sound like the p sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
So basically, the artist had to incorporate two different things. We
Yeah.
had where you had to go into these ruins, this kind of shrine, if you will, and then select the different items. And it was also interesting. This is the first time, I mean, still early on in the competition, everyone's working in groups, but
Yeah, we
this is
haven't
the
had
first
a-
time that they've chosen their partners.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Huh.
I didn't even notice that.
I
It
feel
went
like that
right
just
over my
went-
head.
Yep,
Yeah.
right over my head.
Yeah.
I thought that
That
was...
is correct.
Yeah.
So Johnny stood right next to me, and we really got off pretty well from the get-go. So we figured, let's team up. And in the house, actually, in the face-off house, we made face-off house blues together.
Face Off House
We
Blues.
made a song. And
Oh, okay.
That's
they had a
awesome.
guitar there, so one day I picked it up and I made the face-off house blues. And Johnny chimed in, he gave some lyrics to it, so then we sang it together.
Oh,
So
excellent.
we were partners for the language one, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Singing partner and then makeup partner.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Dynamic duo.
Yeah, that's something.
need to hear this song.
And I was gonna say, in this early in the show, because there are so many contestants still, and we need to basically devote the entire show to the competition at this point. We haven't really gotten to see any of those random moments of people hanging out at the house just yet. So
I thought it was
them.
crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah, I thought it was crazy because usually when we watch the season, we usually get like a little bit, just a tiny bit of house footage, and we haven't gotten any. Right? Okay. I just wanted to
No.
make sure I was on the same page.
yeah.
But all of the challenges so far have been way up there, too.
Yeah,
So there's a lot going on.
Yeah, they've definitely been pretty involved.
Yes, very much so.
So let's dive right on into a couple of the makeups that were safe this week.
Yes,
Melissa
please.
and Katie
Oh my god.
had this weird low speaking tone that was it was
Yeah.
very prayer like.
Yeah.
I liked that it already sounded like something cinematic just because it sounded like something whispery.
Yeah.
It made me think very like Necronomicon-esque.
Yeah, and I mean that was ultimately kind of the
Wow.
direction that they went with it, because she was basically a like death priestess.
I thought it was
Mother of Death.
Mother of Death.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
And
Yeah.
I love that Michael Westmore points out that it's unlike anything that he had seen from artists up to that. You know, that has to just make
Yeah.
you feel
Awesome.
like, all
Has he said that
right.
on the show before? I feel like this is the first time I've heard him say something like that. No.
Yeah.
Maybe that exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like once a season there's these are really unique shapes that I've never seen before. Though now that I'm saying that, I think that Glenn says that
I
once
think
a
he
season.
does.
I don't
I
know
think he
about
really does.
I don't know about Mr. Westmore.
I just thought that was a really high honor that he said that. And I
Yeah.
was like, whoa, this is crazy.
And
Yeah.
it looked so cool adding the scars on the back.
That was actually my favorite aspect of any makeup, I think, this week, because it was something that was so subtle, but it read both far and close.
Yeah,
and it just
I
read
agree.
so brilliantly that it kind of just is the gentle reminder that it doesn't need to be big and huge and elaborate
Yes.
to make such an impact.
Well, and I think too that they were very smart with this makeup with the face prosthetics, because a lot of the time, I think and I've said this many times on this show before, when they are doing a female character who is still supposed to be kind of beautiful, they can go a little crazy with the face and take it away from beauty. And I think that they did minimal
Yep.
to the face, and it was, like she was weirdly kind of pretty,
Yeah, no, that was the first thing I was gonna say. I was like, oh yeah, so they still kept her features and everything to a point.
Yeah,
and
like
that
she
was great.
Yeah, she was still very feminine, and she didn't sort of traverse into unidentifiable alien kind of territory.
right.
Yeah.
And scary, but in like a kind of
Elegant.
like a vampire like scary.
Yeah,
where
yeah.
you're drawn in.
Yeah.
I love the subtle motions that she did for her the model did for her performance. I thought that was really cool. She didn't really do anything. She kind of looked up, said thing, and then put her arms up, and I was like, that was perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, take my vote. You don't get a vote, but yeah.
Yes.
The models were crushing it this episode.
Yeah, they really were.
I wanted to know if they like had to like study.
Yeah,
like,
I was
the
gonna say,
phrase.
did you get to talk much with your model about like their process of having to go through like, because they all performed the languages.
I guess before the show, they had them train the language.
Okay.
Before they came in, they know their stuff already.
Right.
Oh,
right.
nice.
So that's interesting then. So when you guys, because typically you guys get to pick your models, but you guys like pick like after already knowing what your makeup is going to be. But in this scenario, the models were already connected to the artifact in the language that you picked.
Yeah, I think it was like that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, which is definitely an added challenge, because I think that, because I correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm under the impression that you guys get to come up with a concept, and as you're coming up with the concept, you kind of figure out if it's going to be a man or a woman, and then you go into the lab and you're able to pick which model you want to use.
Honestly, I don't quite remember how if we picked the model or if they gave a model to us, assigned it.
Right.
It's a bit ago.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, in this case, it came with an assigned model.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just knew they had them trained to say those things beforehand, because it was kind of difficult.
Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it sounded like the models had recorded the sound bites that you guys were listening to as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were then studying them and they were ready to go.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Models really stepped it up.
I know.
This time. I mean, they're always on point, but this time I was just like, I have no words.
Yeah.
That's a
so
very
great.
model-heavy challenge.
Yeah, and I thought it was great because you kind of needed that, since they had to perform both not just in performance with just their bodies, but they actually had to voice the correct thing. Because I was scared that they were just gonna like say some gibberish and hope to dear God it was gonna be like somewhere close, and I was like, that's not face-off material, but that's what I was expecting, because I didn't know that the models would have been trained beforehand.
Yeah.
So oof woof. So
That's why we need that web series.
Yes,
Just
please.
the
The
behind
models,
the scenes.
I just want to know what they
want
do.
it. Which actually brings us our guest last week.
I know,
Matt, was Walter and Rob's model, and absolutely killed it. It was awesome.
Yeah, he was great.
I loved
They
it.
had this kind of Nordic big cat that was gonna go and kill wolves and wear them as trophies, which
was not a bad direction to go, because in Norse mythology you encounter both big cats and crazy large wolves.
Yeah.
Ow.
What's that?
Ow.
I love it. Yes.
I just felt like saying that.
However, I agree. I cannot remember which one of the judges was. I believe it was Glenn. Said the difference between the face and the cowl were huge, because the cowl kind of looked like a wolf, like statue.
it needed hair.
It needed hair.
Okay. I felt kind of bad because I was sitting there going, oh, they should have had just laid a little bit of hair, just a little bit.
They should have focused on
absolutely.
putting hair on it.
It absolutely needed the
Didn't
hair.
Mr. Westmore say put hair just right on the shoulders and the back of the cowl? You don't have to cover the whole head. And I was like, I mean, I'm not a makeup person, so I wouldn't know, but
I
did
mean,
look too plastic.
that's exactly what I was gonna say.
it looked like a hat that you could just stick on from a costume house. I felt bad, and I was like, ooh.
But I did like that Mackenzie pointed out, where she's like, so you're saying that cats are superior to dogs?
Yes.
That's the
That
note
must
I
make
have.
you so
So
happy.
describing that outfit, it was like, okay, cats are better than dogs. That's what this one is.
Yes.
And Glenn would love. I was like, just another reason to love Glenn. I'm
know.
telling you, I'm a cat person.
Now, Robert,
Yeah,
what is your opinion on cats versus dogs?
I'm a cat person.
Okay.
I think I'm alone.
No, I'm a dog
Dogs, but
person.
deep down, I'm a cat person.
Yay! I mean, I
like
love
it,
all
man.
animals. I've had really terrible situations with cats.
See, I've only had amazing situations
See,
with cats.
I want that. Everyone's like, "Oh, my cat's so cuddly and adorable." I'm like, I've only met the ones that want to scratch my eyes out for some reason. I don't
Come
know
hang
what's
out
in-
with my cat.
Oh yeah.
Come
We'll
on,
set
let's
up-
run
we'll
up
set
and
up a
love
play
me,
date.
and then
Yeah,
I'll
with
start
Ramona.
crying.
Yeah. I'm on the same boat. Yep. I want to meet Ramona. Sorry. Okay.
Their sound was very unusual, but I loved that they were saying, the fricatives is the name for that,
Fricatives,
by the way.
Oh.
If you want a little language bomb dropped in, there you go. Fricatives, plosive sounds.
Whoa.
There's plosive
That was
sounds
great.
or any sounds like that, the popish kind, and then fricatives are the ones specifically the
Look at you dropping that
hard-
knowledge.
yeah.
Get in there.
I could
noises.
probably have pronounced that too very well. get a lot of and in there. So
Yeah. There's a lot of kind of behind back of the throat.
Back of the throat.
Which is
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
our guest judge actually was
Yeah,
talking about,
he
right?
did say
Something
that,
about
actually,
that
yeah.
was in the back of the mouth. Yeah, I thought it was really cool.
Yes. And that with the jawline that they had sculpted on this and his sort of protruding mouth, it would be very possible.
There was a lot of pieces there.
I loved so much having that aspect of judging in it. Just going into the phonetics and how you would actually make those languages work. Because I have only barely scratched the surface in taking like an accent class, if you will, where they kind of direct you how to speak. I did British primarily, different regions of Great Britain.
Oh, look at you.
Right? It was one time. It was so fun. But it really makes you think differently with how you use your head and how you use your throat and where you're trying to make the noise come from.
That's so cool.
Just adding that into a makeup piece is just something that I personally have never thought deeply about before, and I loved that this challenge, addressed that.
Yeah.
It was like
Note,
it
must
has
take
to
accent
work
class.
on not only the cohesive level of do the pieces go together and does the story fit, but is it physically possible for this to work with the language?
Yeah.
And I nerded out a lot internally, but it was there.
I thought it was
That's
great.
one of the things about this show that's so extra awesome is that it's not only visual and art, there's science and anatomy behind it. And it's this intrinsic process every single week that you're given these kind of broad parameters and then are told make something and make it awesome and also know what we want to see and just know that. So, which
and good luck.
and good luck. Now, I did think it was kind of cool that they sculpted Walter's feet. They live cast
That was really
to make the lion feet. Have you ever had to kind of create something off of
we did
yourself?
actually cast my hands for Octoman.
Oh.
Show that. We made so many molds, but in the end, it's such a time crunch.
Yeah.
that we used them. But we made hand molds too.
Oh, my
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Excellent.
some Octo hands for your Octoman.
Exactly.
Now, there were...
you and your puns.
Now, there were two teams in the bottom. We'll start... let's start with the teams in the top.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll go with
like
Caleb and Mel,
Yep.
who
wow.
had...
Little magic headband.
They were so cute with their matching headbands.
I love
love
the
the
matching
matching
and
headbands.
their nose piercings and their
Did you
glasses.
see when they were like, when both their arms were
their
folded
black
waiting? I was just
shirts.
like, what's happening right now?
Best friends.
You guys
love
are my best friends.
They had a really cool artifact too. The
yeah.
snake helmet.
Oh yeah, it was
Yeah.
really neat.
It was that I thought was one of the coolest kind of pieces that were out there.
Yeah, I agree.
so-
And I was glad that their language supported the snake idea. You know what I mean? Because like, what if they had gone in there and the language had sounded absolutely nothing like a snake? How do you get this snake helmet out of your head?
yeah,
Yeah, I wouldn't even know.
you
Yeah.
would put it on your head as a helmet.
And then you don't have to see it.
Oh, that was just to make Alexa
was-
sad.
Why do you hate me?
Just kidding.
The way they pick the people who go in there first.
Oh,
is-
yeah.
It is kind of random. And of course, who goes first has the biggest choices. You know?
Right.
That's
So
true,
I would
yeah.
have liked the damn snake as well, you know.
Yeah, that's what I was
Poor
wondering.
Jerogi
Is,
and Anne, they just had one left.
I know.
So it's kind of messed up.
Yeah, I agree.
That is tough.
I feel like a lot
Did
of
you-
it is the luck of the draw,
Yeah.
as far as models and as far as
Yeah.
who goes first and picks.
Yeah, there's certainly an
Yeah.
advantage, I guess.
Yeah. So they just came in because a lot of the time, you know, there's, or some of the time anyway, it's often like, okay, you won the challenge last week, so or you won the foundation challenge, so you get to pick first or whatever. But a lot of the times it is just randomly assigned. So do they just show up and they've already randomly selected people?
Yeah, it was all pretty much randomly.
You don't get to like flip a coin or Rochambeau for it.
That was great. Oh my god, that's awesome.
That's interesting because that is kind of where you're like, well, this is. Some of them I feel are a lot more obscure and
Yeah.
challenging.
Yeah.
Then
I mean, you stand outside and you see they bring all this cool stuff out, and I hope there's
like
something left there.
Yeah. But at the same time, I this is me speaking for myself. Like, I can get overwhelmed if there are a lot of choices.
No, I agree with you. I'm in the same boat.
Like, I feel like I'd be happiest being in the middle.
This is in the solid middle.
Yeah, so that I just have a few choices.
But not a lot or
But
not too little.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm
feel
on the
like
same
there's
boat.
typically-
over the microphone. Come the hell out of there! It's 20 minutes.
Yeah, that would be me. If I went first, it would, yeah.
Be here forever.
that would be amazing. I like to believe that they just have a face-off megaphone just as in case of
Come on,
emergency.
hurry.
You're taking too
out.
long.
Make it that big.
I would take that job in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Be like, get out.
How would you even put that on a resume? Like, what would you?
I'm sorry. If I don't get hired because of that, they could just, it's not even worth
Be
it.
like the motivational speaker of Face
Face
Off.
off.
Just me. Just be like, hey,
Get out.
you're awesome.
I could add more
awesome.
urgency with my accent. Come out now.
Yeah.
Now.
I like that your words of encouragement are basically just what they yell at you at a haunted house at the end.
Yep.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Leave.
Just get out.
Yep.
So they had Caleb and Mel had a little bit of disagreement on the ears, and then Mel decided that they would go completely with whatever the Westmores say.
Yes.
I love how
knowing
she said that,
certainly,
too.
yes, that they would be
make
on
sure
her
the
side.
Westmores understand. I don't know.
I thought that was a really nice compromise because Caleb was so adamant that he loved the ears and she was really not feeling them. And the fact that they're just like, well, let's, whatever Mr. Westmore says about them, let's go with that. And he loved him.
I think more contestants who are like who are doing the group thing should probably just go with that. I feel like
Yeah.
deciding like this is the vote. you
Yeah,
know?
and I feel like that's the first time on the show that I've seen. I'm sure it's not the first time it's happened, but I feel like it's the first time that they've really showcased that specific idea of, okay, well, we're in total disagreement about this thing, but it's not total disagreement like we don't think this is the right direction. Total disagreement like I think this is amazing and you think it's terrible. Let's see what they have to say.
Yeah, and I
Have
like
you
the
ever? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I was gonna say I like the fact that you have to get a new, like a fresh pair
Yes,
of eyes.
that's exactly
to
what
look
it
into
is.
Because I mean, I like how in past seasons we've had other contestants who come up and go, hey, what do you think of this? And they're just like, I think it rocks, or like, oh no, you should get rid of it, or
Yeah.
something. But like, I like that they did that, but they did it with the Westmores. which I thought
Yeah,
was really cool.
it was neat.
So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh
Continue.
no, is that more prevalent than we see? Do people do that where in a team that you're like, well, we'll just wait and see what they say?
Yeah, it happens a lot.
Yeah.
You know,
No, all right.
because you can't really fight it out on stage. So
I
get
mean-
this opinion and then go from there. You know.
Okay. I like that.
That makes sense.
I like that a lot.
I loved on this one too that even though David pointed out that the fangs wouldn't actually be feasible as far as making the sound, he was willing to ignore it because it looks so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still not willing to not point it out.
I know. Yeah.
Still, just let him have his moment.
Yeah. No, it was
fun.
an awesome looking makeup. I loved the detailing on the top of the cowl and the way they painted it. Like, it really looked like a snake
It did. It was great.
without being super literal.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't really
Because
think
the
about
literal parts were kind of in places
Yeah.
that weren't super direct.
Yeah.
that. Yeah, because
They
I
had
like,
very literal snake painted on top, but you wouldn't see
Yeah.
it unless he moved.
and that's why I'm really glad that Neville was like, "Could you bring your head down so I can see
Yeah.
that?" Because I thought he was just going to completely surpass that because it's so subtle up there.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like a faux hawk, but just a cooler one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I thought it was great.
A snake hawk.
Snake. Oh god.
The thing funny about the literal thing, then they give you, okay, this is your inspiration,
Right.
and you have to make it look like that, and then you make it look like that. Oh, this is too literal.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then if you go too far away, oh, what happened to your inspiration?
Yeah.
You know? I thought that a lot. Like it's kind of, what the hell do you want now?
Yeah,
This
exactly.
damn
No.
thing, you know?
Yeah.
Fans who've watched our after show know just how much we have complained about that
Yeah,
for
exactly.
seasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's such a fine line, and it just seems like whatever mood they're in that day is like, oh, well, I got up on the left side of the bed, so it better be an exact replica of what I want.
Sorry, it better be whimsical, or if there's no glitter, get out.
On the right
I
side
think-
of the bed, if there's not abstract rainbows that I can feel with my heart, but not see with my eyes.
Or just with beach eyes, shiny,
Yeah.
just shiny the whole time through.
I loved this look a lot, especially when you saw the vase, you saw the ancient artifact, and it had the snakes that were like
Yeah.
on top of it.
Were they like,
If you're listening,
Yeah.
if you're listening, Michelle is gesturing with her arms.
Yes, iTunes listeners.
and making a sound effect.
Dramatic
So they can hear the sound.
They know what you're saying. They just
No,
don't
but
know what you're doing.
but what I was going to say is
Oh, there
that
you go. Robert's
Yes.
is like,
But
I
think
like
that could
No,
have
just
easily been like, let's make a headpiece that is reminiscent of this and possibly incorporating the snakes in this manner.
I like it.
You just have to do that from now on for the season. Anytime you like something, it's gotta
It's
go one of
just
these.
this. But I love that instead they did such a subtle reptilian overall look and then kind of had the snakes reminiscent in what was that called?
The cow.
the
no,
collar.
it wasn't the collar. The collar.
The
Yeah.
collar. Yes.
Because I was afraid. I was afraid. Yeah, I was afraid that when they said that they wanted to be more. Did they say Cobra-like, or am I thinking of somebody else?
No, it was that Cobra. Yeah.
The very Cobra-like. I was like, no, I don't want them to do the weird flared out heads.
Yeah.
I don't want it to look completely like a snake.
And that's been done in a past season. I forget which one specifically, but they kind of went too literal with the snake concept and they got the anatomy wrong. And Neville, I just remember, kind of went into them for that, saying that
usually Neville.
structurally, it's usually Neville. So I loved that this was a different approach, and this with the two kind of reptilian looks. This episode, this was it done right.
Yes, it was.
Yes,
Great.
exactly.
Yes.
That was the bladder that they had that would
I
move
liked
That was-
that.
It was awesome.
and have it be subtle, but very much like it had
Yeah.
an anatomical
I
purpose.
was scared that they were gonna leave it exposed, and I'm like, that would have been weird.
Yeah, no.
Pink.
Well, and
I thought that's what they were gonna do. I was afraid.
and I was glad that they approached the application of that with the attitude of this might not work, and if it's really not working, we're not going to do it.
This happens a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
You plan a lot of things, and half of them don't work, and you just scrap them.
Yeah.
But, always we have good intentions,
Yeah.
highly inspired,
And if you don't try it, you don't know if it works or not.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
for the tentacles, did you just try those two different techniques, or did you try?
There was a lot of things about those.
Okay.
I guess we'll get into
Just
that later.
say they didn't work out.
That'll work.
And kind of the last thing on that makeup that I wanted to touch on was just how cool it was adding the black contacts and having the
it was
black
crazy.
around
That was
so
my
that
favorite
it looked
thing.
like the added membrane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved that.
I almost wonder how much of that was just happy accident, though. That
I
it
know.
just they were like, let's put black. Oh wow, that ended up looking really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that was kind of happy accident. I mean, I'm sure they went in with the intention of putting in the black contact lenses, but it looked cooler than they thought.
Yeah.
I think.
I think that happened.
I would concur with that.
Yep. I also concur.
Now, Vaughn and Anna also crushed it this week.
Yeah.
Top looks. They had this kind of like tiki head face thing that was like almost like a mask, but it kind of looked almost like it was made out of macaroni. You know?
A little bit, yeah.
Like, didn't it look a little bit like a little kid's
look like
here, we're gonna make
macaroni.
the Easter Island heads, but
Out
with
of
macaroni.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
So-
you just made my day with that. I think I've done that before.
Yeah, you know
like,
what I'm
for
talking
real.
about? So
Yeah.
it was just interesting that they had that and coupled with a very sharp, quick moving voice that was a language that was, as they said, almost barking orders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because in my head, I just hear like, all right, kids, make those faster. Make these macaroni masks. I need them.
In my head, I just have a macaroni headpiece right now. Somebody wearing macaroni on it.
Yeah. What, macaroni man?
An option.
I will take that as an almost seal of approval, which is close enough. I'll take it.
Before we continue with that, to what Michelle was saying, everybody in the chat is saying the go-go dancer snake, Jason Snake from season 9. That's what they were talking about.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I do remember that. It's coming back to me. We're like, ooh.
Yeah, I do remember.
Super rough.
It's all coming back to
Yeah,
you.
everyone was just talking about it. They're like, yep, that was a bad snake.
Oh,
Nope,
it's
nope,
not
that,
a good
ooh.
snake.
Ooh,
Oh.
like
I
teenage
think we
like
should all do
dinosaur
a snake
snake.
dance after the show.
Yes.
A snake dance?
I am
Yeah.
down
Okay.
for that.
I got my
Camera,
move down.
You know.
Yeah,
Right.
you got it.
Dancing.
I
Snake
think
dance.
right now. What
Right
do you
now?
think? Yeah, what's your best snake
Let's
dance?
do it. Go for
I
it.
don't know.
Oh,
Hey,
that's good.
there we go.
I like
Nice.
it. Oh, I like it.
We should have a
it.
formation of some sort.
We'll figure it
Some
out.
music.
Yeah,
We'll figure it out. Just
Okay.
snakes.
I don't know.
We'll get some actual snakes rush ordered
Real
in.
snakes.
And yeah.
I like
Get on it, Ray. Snakes.
I like
Special
Toot
feature.
sweet, sister.
I didn't even think this is a very snake-heavy episode for something that was so Indiana Jones and
Yeah.
Oh yeah, didn't somebody
Kinda,
make, didn't someone
you
make a
know?
joke about that where they grabbed their artifact and they're like, we must run now or something like that? I can't
Oh,
remember.
did they?
I think someone did.
Katie, I think.
Yeah. I think so. She was like, we have to run now, and they were giggling and stuff. I missed it.
I would do that.
Yeah. No, that was the
Yeah.
first. I would find like my shirt or something. I'd be like, go, and then run out. Sorry.
No,
I'm a nerd.
No, I love it. And so they had a great story, which we've talked about before, how
Yes.
a story can really make or break a character. And this idea of a regular person going and getting this headdress that turns them into a deity that is just
Right.
completely corrupt and evil and just using his powers.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool because I didn't think they were gonna go the evil route until they said it, and I was like, oh, I can see it now.
Yeah.
I like that. I like
Yeah,
that a lot.
completely for his own self gain.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, no, I thought it was incredibly effective. And as I believe it was Glenn said, that he could get that whole, like, he got the story. When they explained it, he's like, that makes perfect sense. I totally see it, even without you having to explain it to me. It's great. That's a successful makeup.
Yeah, it is. And I would watch that movie.
Oh
Yes,
my gosh,
I would in a
yes.
heartbeat.
I would watch a movie where that guy, though he is sort of a bad guy, is the central character.
Yeah.
Like
The
like
protagonist.
Yeah.
The evil protagonist.
Yeah.
So like it's like a long con, but like in ancient Egypt, kind of like because he's
Yeah.
trying
Yeah.
because he's trying to pretend like he's being this really great person, but he's actually just this evil dude.
Like an ancient cult leader.
Yeah,
Yes.
something like that.
Yeah, it is a man
fascinating.
Yeah.
who is trying to behave as a god.
So
And everyone drinks the
Wizard of
bug
Oz
juice
just without
Kool-Aid.
Dorothy.
Wizard of Oz without Dorothy.
Yeah.
Ancient Egypt Wizard of Oz. Here we go. Fun bit.
Terrifying. And which could have crossed into being like an old man, which Michael Westmore warned against. You
Yep.
know, this don't make it too
No.
far in one direction. And it really read really well, as
agree.
if kind of mummy-like.
Yeah.
And we see Vaughn even has kind of the struggle where she's fighting with the beads and realize they're not going to pop out.
Yeah.
And comes up with the great idea of cutting these popsicle sticks to
Yep.
get this texture of these
so
diamonds.
cool.
Yes.
That was great.
Which was just fast and easy.
Yep.
I
And-
loved when they sped it up when she was doing that to
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
Whoa, that was
Yeah.
crazy.
It kind of looked like she was baking a cake, and made me think of like Dina, who who won a couple seasons back. So
love
it's just
Dina.
like
Yeah.
looks like cake. It's
looks
cool.
like cake.
And I love
Elena's
the
just
paint
got cake on
job
the brain.
that she did on
Always.
that too. Because when you paint something like a solid black color and then you hope that the other color is going to pop out the right way, like, that's a gamble. And it played off really well for her with the metallics.
Yeah.
And it read great up close. It read great far away. It was just really great.
So
Yeah.
awesome.
That was really good makeup.
They kind of lucked out, had kind of a happy accident that the teeth were too big for the model and didn't work, and they scrapped them.
I was
Because
really afraid about
David
that.
Peterson's big note was he wanted to make sure there was nothing in the mouth that would obscure the character from being able to speak so quickly. And that would have been a strike against them. So nixing those and just saying, you know, I think this is going to be a for the best moment.
Yeah, no, good
It
job.
definitely
Yeah.
was.
Definitely was.
I agree.
Which is nice and rare, I think we find on the show.
Yeah.
Like, let's hope that this works, and then you're like, oh,
It
it worked
did.
very, very well.
Yeah.
But Vaughn, who twice in bottom looks,
I know.
officially put Anna again as the face-off bridesmaid.
Oh,
Always a
is.
bridesmaid, never a bride.
Well,
Always
it's funny
top
because-
looks, never the winner.
but everybody in the chat is like Anna's gonna end up being the Leonardo DiCaprio of this season.
That's what I
said. Yeah.
Just wait until Steve Harvey is their guest
Oh
judge.
my god! Oh my god! Yes. Oh, it's gonna be great. But yeah, everyone's saying how great Anna is and that she's gonna kick some butt.
Oh
as
no,
later
I love
season.
Anna. Yeah, she's
Yeah, we all agree with
clearly a very talented, very confident artist.
Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah.
kind of easy to be confident when you've been top
looks
from the
every
beginning.
week.
Yeah.
You're like, I'll just hang out up here.
I'm good.
It's fine.
I'm in a good place.
Yep.
All happy here.
Yeah.
Now, we did have a few looks that
I have words
were,
about these looks.
yes, the bottom looks. One, unfortunately, being yours. And
Octoman.
I'm
Octoman.
upset. I'm
Didn't
upset that
have time
Octoman.
to paint it right.
Octoman was the unfortunate victim of not enough time.
Yeah.
I think it was a really, really good idea that just because you hit so many snags,
Yeah.
It just,
if you hadn't have hit all of those obstacles,
Well, we
would
had
have
for sure
been-
the best team song, you know.
You did.
Yes,
I would
yes,
say-
you did.
I want to know, are there any more lyrics to the Octoman theme song? Are we getting an AfterBuzz exclusive right now?
I have to come up with something. Octoman, Octoman. He swims like no one can. It's Octoman.
I love it.
I like it.
Oh
Yeah,
my
That's
god.
great. No,
Swoon.
this is the thing is that I totally understood the direction that you were going with the character in regards to that beak that like an octopus has or a giant squid has. I mean, you know, I've played lots of video games where there are giant squid monsters that you fight against and they all have beaks.
Yeah.
So I totally get it, and I thought that the cowl that you guys made was perfectly reminiscent of that. It was just unfortunate that you know, the paint job didn't quite go as you wanted, and that some of the little details like the tentacles, which would have really helped, didn't work out.
Yeah. Well, as well, if you with a better paint job, and if we had the tentacles, I didn't think it would be at a bottom look. If
No.
they all worked out.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with the design and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no,
did like that.
I was surprised how well it came together, considering how many snags there were along the way, which they, you know, obviously a lot of what happens ends up on the cutting room floor in terms of, you know, what actually goes on and they film. But I think that they did a good job of highlighting the struggles you guys were encountering.
The struggle is real.
Maybe it didn't come across so well when I hold the
Oh, when you're doing the
I
cowl
go
to
with
mold
my
it.
head in there.
Yeah.
My head.
But I have to say, that's a pretty awesome move, using the popsicle sticks and having it work out and hold it in place. Earned your title of Plaster Whisperer.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm as accidental tech, I know plaster pretty well.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's right.
that makes sense.
It does.
I don't know. I still liked it either way.
Well,
I
the
just felt
initial
bad.
design I had in mind was actually I wanted to make it more like a fish, but since we had to deal with this language clip with the clicking sound, that's why we put the beak in there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have scrapped the damn beak and make just a mean-looking fish. You know? But because of that, put in the beak, and I was actually afraid that, you know, vinyl always has, if anything has a beak, it looks like a bird.
Yeah.
It's a fish bird.
Yeah.
Fish bird. So I saw that coming, but we had to deal with that clicking.
Yeah.
In a way. So
No, I thought it was
went that
totally
route,
justified.
so-
Yep.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Which
and I love octopi too. So and giant squids. So
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, they're making my favorite thing. So I was really sad that it didn't get to where it needed to go because of the stupid snags. in the middle.
No, I think it was a good idea.
I agree.
That just suffered from a lot of setbacks.
Yeah.
If you had had more time, what do you think that you would have done differently?
Well, it was mainly the paint job. If you would have taken more time on the paint job, it would have looked much better. And as well, having those tentacles.
Yeah. Yeah.
If that would have worked out. And the hands, too.
Yeah.
But not even
yeah.
the hands. That was a side thing, you know.
Yeah.
You wouldn't need it there. And as well, the costume was pretty sucky. I don't know, the costume we got there didn't work so well.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the
I
costume.
was very
but
confused because they looked like they were two different pieces. No, like I didn't feel like they matched.
yeah.
Maybe it was just me. I don't know because it seemed like there was a lot of browns and greens up here, and then I thought there was like a bright color
it
down
felt
here.
somewhat disconnected
Yeah.
from what the
like
makeup
a jungle
was.
disguise thing.
Kind
with
of.
my
Yeah.
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
I
looked
was very
less
confused.
seaweed and
Yeah.
more,
Like you were a tree.
yeah, like
Yeah.
things you would find at a military supply store.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's actually the first thing I thought, but I was like, yeah, I'm probably gonna be the only one that gets that.
Yeah, it did seem kind of like
It was really
it
strange.
didn't
Disjointed.
quite.
Yeah.
It was a bit disjointed, but I think overall it showed both you and Johnny
guys
being able
tried.
to fix problems and
Yeah.
be able to work around, where you had something, which you even say, I'm painting this, but it's just to have some paint on here,
Yeah.
which I think is better than just kind of giving up, which we have seen before.
That's
It
always
was
rough.
right. This episode here particularly was very tense.
Yeah.
They cut a lot of things out. It was actually much more tense than it showed off. We had quite some arguments too.
Oh.
I get a lot. I work so well with partners, but I talk some crap too. But they haven't shown that. I know.
What I will say is that I think this makeup versus the makeup that actually ended up having a contestant get eliminated and was the very bottom look, the biggest difference is that both of you went into this judging going, our makeup has problems. It's problematic. That we've done what we can with what we have. We're sending it out there. We have something to show. Whereas the other makeup, your flaw was in the execution. Theirs was in the design.
I agree. Yeah, I
I
completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I thought it was a pretty solid design.
Yeah. No, I loved
No,
the
I do
idea.
have-
Yeah.
You loved Octoman?
Yes.
I really like Dr. Man,
Immensely.
but I have a pretty important question.
Okay.
Who would win in a fight, Board Game Man or Octo Man?
Octoman.
I think Board Game Man.
Oh.
He
I
just
love
takes
my.
his giant dice and
Okay.
All right.
you know.
See, I don't know. Well, I'm biased. I love octopi, so I'm just
Yeah.
like, get 'em.
It's something I have to do for my fans on Twitter. They want me to say a certain line.
Okay.
Oh yes, please.
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Yes!
This is out of the way now.
Oh,
I had several
my God.
requests for that.
Now I just
I'm
want there,
done. I'm done. I can go home, and that made me so happy.
I want there to be
That
a
was
Bond
awesome.
villain challenge now.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
it's not necessarily
Like,
in
my
the realm
true
of
goal
special
of
effects.
Face Off is being the next Bond villain in the next film.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes,
Alright.
yes.
Basically, my real true goal. So
Is to be a Bond villain.
I'm on
I will
board.
start. I will start that petition. I will
Great.
get,
Team
there'll
Lindsay,
there'll
I'm
just
all
be
about it.
riots.
I
in
hear
LA.
that Octo Man's closest friends too call him Sushi.
yes, they do. But you have to know him very closely to say that.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
gets
okay.
offended.
Oh, okay.
I like it. My roommate's cat's name is Sushi, so there you go. Now, unfortunately,
Woof.
we did have to see someone go home, and Emma, I think you make a very good point. Jirogi and Ant. Ant throughout was pretty confident in his look and knew that the judges were either going to love it or hate it. But going back to Robert, you were saying it's kind of luck of the draw as to when you're going to go and get your item. They were last. They had this weird ray gun, and the prop didn't fit in the time period. So when you were already given that, plus a sound that sounded like the hissing, clicking reptile with the ray gun also back in time, it seemed like too many random elements, and they were kind of set up for failure
Kind
from
of.
the
Is it weird
jump.
that I thought it was kind of like, oh man, we have all the artifacts, but we need one more, and they couldn't think of one, so they're like, oh, there's an old prop from Universal, let's just throw that in there. Hope that's cool. I mean, I'm not trying to like hate on Face Off for that. I mean, I know that it must be hectic, but that's what it felt like.
did
It felt
feel
so
a bit-
It felt like a forced twist.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
almost like an intern was like,
Very-
twist! And they were like, oh God, all right,
Plot
Jim, throw it in, it's fine.
Poor intern's just like, can we use this? How about now? Can we use this? How about now? And they're like, fine, go ahead.
I'm
throw it in there.
blaming any weird incongruity on Jim the intern,
Yeah.
who is this
Like,
fictional
I thought
person
his
I've
name
created.
was Trevor, and I was like, intern Trevor needs to get out. Stop it. But no, I like intern Jim better. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
that
don't know
was-
what's going on.
There was really no way for that not to become futuristic, which is the
Yeah,
complete
that was
opposite
forced.
of
Which-
what it
Yeah,
had to be.
and they even say when they picked it up, like, well, I guess we're stuck with this one, and
felt
you're
so
like,
bad.
oh well,
Yep.
But I love that Ant even says, I'm here to take a lot of risks, and Ant unfortunately was sent home for this risk. But if you're going to be sent home on a makeup, I do feel like being sent home on one that you say, this is a design that I really like.
Yeah.
Either the judges will love it or they will hate it, but I feel good about it.
Yep.
I think that's kind of a good way to go out.
I agree. And as the judges said, it's like, it's very clear that he is very passionate about what he does.
Yeah. And you can clearly see it too. And I am sad that I'm not gonna be able to see more because of that passion. I mean, everybody's passionate on Face Off, but like he just really had it, and I was like, oh man, I can't wait to see what he has.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I did make sure to make a note of this because I couldn't get it out of my head when he started sculpting the cowl. That
I know what you're gonna talk about.
It was very reminiscent of Star Trek's Ferengi.
There it is.
Oh yeah, it does look like
Ears.
a Ferengi.
Is it Ferengi?
Yeah.
Okay, then my phone lied to me. I looked up how to pronounce that earlier, and it was wrong.
But yeah, that's what I was like, oh man, where's Emma when I need her? And like that was because
It did kind of look like the Ferengi,
didn't it? And I was just like, I didn't know what the term was, and I was just like, those ears are bothering me.
Yeah,
and
it was just, it kind of made me a little sad in terms of creativity, because I mean, there's only so much you can do for ears before it's all been done before. But that was my first thing was the iconic
right on the
Star
nose.
Trek. These are your ears. They're this wide.
I will.
The head was the same way.
I will say, however, I was a little concerned when they're like, "We're gonna go reptilian and give it these really big ears." I'm like, reptiles don't have big ears.
And then they said they wanted to do, what was it, the tree frog, right? And then I was like, but why?
Yeah.
But
There
why?
it was a lot of random reptilian ideas and futuristic alien ideas
do
that
too
just
much.
tried to merge together.
Yeah.
Well, it was odd to me that their rationale was, if their language is somewhat stifled, then we should increase their other senses. And I was like, but there's lots of animals that don't communicate at all with any verbal sounds.
Yeah.
That don't have giant eyes and giant ears.
Yeah.
And even the ones who don't make noises
I
like that.
thought there was just a lot of they were trying to do too much into one thing. Like I didn't even notice that there was actual scales on his face.
Yeah.
Right
They
here
were
in the
very
middle. You couldn't see them
subtle
at all. You had to I had to pause it and like get real close to my screen, and then I was like, oh, there's little
It was
diamonds in
very
it.
cute, and it was it did border onto cartoony.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know what it would have been great for is like a B movie alien challenge.
or like something for kids.
Yeah.
Which we've had that challenge
But
before.
again, look at the artifact they had to work with.
Yeah.
It was so tough.
it was just, there's a lot
But
going
V
on.
points out a really good paint job could have saved it.
Yeah.
And they went with the really bright green,
And some yellow.
which anytime they go for that kind of neon, I feel like
It's a gamble. Unless it's a whimsical challenge.
unless it's whimsical and they cover it in green glitter, then it's fine.
V's just like, yes!
But I will say, to Drogi's credit with this, changing the way that the eyes were going was a huge
it did
benefit
help. Oh my
to it.
goodness,
Because imagining just having these long oval eyes just straight on like this.
rough. Yeah. I like that.
I'm all about hand motions
No,
tonight.
I like it. iTunes listeners need
Sorry,
to watch the
iTunes.
video. But I like that he also put the brown there.
Yeah,
too.
he did.
I was a little confused about the white. I was like, where are they going with this? I don't understand. And yeah,
Tree frog.
But okay.
No, I want to say something about the elimination process.
Yes, absolutely.
There was something that has not been shown. Something that happened during the eliminations that has been kept away from you guys.
Oh, snaps.
I just want to throw it out there.
Okay.
You should ask the face-off guys what the mystery about Lance the land crab.
Lance the land
I
crab.
feel like we
Lance
may
the
need to
crab.
hear about when Lance the land crab made his appearance.
Well, they didn't
Glenn.
show it. I don't just want to blur it out.
Okay.
Maybe they're still planning to show it on some specials.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
All right.
Make people aware of what happened to Lance the land crab.
Octoman's
Oh,
sidekick.
we should start a hashtag.
Yes.
Who's Lance?
Who's Lance the
Land crab.
Oh my God, you guys.
I know the show has a certain structure and format. I cannot show everything. But well, they should at least do something.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, we'll start a Twitter campaign.
Right, guys.
Guys.
So tweet at us. Do we want to say who is Lance or Lance the land crab?
The mystery of Lance the land crab.
Yes.
It's a hashtag, so we don't
Yeah,
want it
we
to be
need to-
too long.
I mean,
We just say
I'm a victim of-
hashtag who is Lance.
who's Lance?
Lance,
Yes.
Who is
question
Lance?
Who is Lance?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I want to see it. Hashtag face
Who
off.
is Lance?
Oh my god, I'm so excited, guys! On the chat too. I see you in there. Better put that in there so I can see it.
Challenge.
Yep.
Twist. Perfect
Do
time.
you guys know
Professional.
how AFTERBUZZ is, how a German person would read that?
How you would read
how would you
It
AfterBuzz?
would be AFTERBUZZ.
Really? I like
AFTERBUZZ
it.
TV.
It's official. We're changing the name. We're changing it.
I just felt like throwing that in.
No, I like that.
I love it.
That's
I
great.
love it.
Oh my goodness.
Well, it has been an absolute pleasure having you here, Robert. Where
Same
can
here.
we keep up with you besides using the hashtag Who is Lance?
Well,
Where can we find you?
I'm on Twitter as M Mutant. Stands for Multimedia Mutant.
Oh,
Okay.
On Instagram, Robert Lindsay FX.
okay.
Nice.
Find me there. And I'm planning on releasing some videos in the future.
Excellent.
My birthday, very disturbing. So yeah.
Hopefully some featuring Lance the Land Crab so that we can see what Lance is up
That is
to.
a mystery.
Okay.
Got it. And everybody is everyone is just using the Who is Lance hashtag,
Yes.
every single person in the
Perfect.
chat. It's
Perfect.
great.
Already trending.
Raising awareness for Lance.
Yes.
I love it.
I like it.
Michelle, where can we find more from you?
You can find me on Twitter at Michelle_Cullen.
And you can find me on Twitter at Emma Fyffe and on Instagram at Emma Fyffe. And if you guys live in the greater Los Angeles area and you're going to be at Anime Los Angeles this weekend, I will be there. I'm doing a panel with my Sailor Moon podcast, which is called Love and Justice, on Friday, January. I'm already in February. It's not February yet. January 29th at 4:30 p.m. in room 203C, which, as far as I can tell, is upstairs from looking at a convention center map. So if you're there, come say hello.
That was awesome. You can find me all over social media and pretty much living here at AfterBuzz at Torres890. Don't forget, I know that I haven't put my 100th vlog up there. I'm working on it, but I swear there are other vlogs coming through, and you'll see a big slew of them the end of this week.
Yay. And you can find me on Twitter at Alana Jordan, ALANA JORDAN, and on Instagram at That Alana Jordan Girl. You can also catch us all back here next week where we'll be hanging out with Robert's partner from this week, Johnny Leftwich, will be in the studio. So be sure to rate, subscribe, comment, click that little button, click those thumbs up, and then join us back here next week. Bye, guys!
Auf Wiedersehen.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.